If you see this location on a map, turn back. The world is a vast and intricate place full of wonders to explore and destinations that call to the human spirit of adventure. We draw lines on maps to guide us, to connect us, to show us the way home. Yet, some lines, some specific points plotted with latitude and longitude serve a different purpose entirely. They are not invitations. They are not markers for treasure. They are not markers for scenic overlooks. These coordinates are quiet, factual signals of profound danger, places on our planet where the risk to human life is so certain and so severe that the only responsible action is to stay away. They are boundaries drawn not by politics, not by property, but by peril. Their dangers are quantifiable, studied and documented by scientists, governments, and experts. The threats they pose are real: invisible, cell-shattering radiation, the most potent venoms known to science, extreme environmental conditions hostile to life, deliberate and protected isolation of a people untouched by the modern world. To disregard these warnings is not an act of bravery. It is a step toward a predictable and often irreversible outcome. Understanding these locations is not about fueling fear, but about fostering a deep and abiding respect for the forces, both natural and man-made, that shape our world. This exploration is a journey of knowledge, not of travel. It is a slow, deliberate examination of coordinates that should be committed to memory for the purpose of avoidance. We will look at each location with a calm and steady gaze. We will detail the name, the precise location on the globe, and the factual basis for its classification as a no-go zone. The official name is the Chernobyl Exclusion Zone. You can find its epicenter near the coordinates 51.2765 degrees north, 30.2218 degrees east. This location is situated near the ghost city of Pripyat in the Kiev Oblast of Ukraine. We begin in a place where a human error in 1986 etched a permanent scar onto the landscape. The subtitle for this region is simple and direct: lethal without warning. The danger here is radiation, an invisible and silent threat that permeates the soil, the water, the crumbling buildings, and the very air itself. It is the lingering ghost of the catastrophic explosion of Reactor 4, an event that released a plume of radioactive fallout across Europe. The reason for the extreme danger is the continued presence of radionuclides like cesium-137, strontium-90, and americium-241. These unstable elements were blasted from the reactor's core and settled into the environment, where they continue to emit ionizing radiation. This type of radiation can damage or destroy living cells, leading to severe health consequences. Access to the 30-kilometer zone is strictly controlled by the Ukrainian government. Any visit, even a short one, requires official permits, mandatory accompaniment by a licensed guide, and the use of dosimeters to monitor radiation exposure in real time. Certain areas known as hotspots, like the infamous Red Forest, remain so contaminated that even brief exposure is forbidden. Should an unprepared individual wander into a highly contaminated area, the consequences can be swift and devastating. A high dose of radiation received in a short period can cause acute radiation syndrome, nausea, vomiting, damage to internal organs, often leading to death within days or weeks. Lower, but still significant, doses dramatically increase the long-term risk of developing cancers, particularly thyroid cancer and leukemia. Cesium-137 and strontium-90 both have half-lives of about 30 years. Plutonium-239 in reactor dust endures for 24,100 years. For all practical human purposes, parts of this zone will remain dangerously radioactive forever, a permanent testament to the consequences of nuclear disaster. Its official name is Ilha de Queimada Grande, more commonly known as Snake Island. It is located at approximately 24.4892 degrees south, 46.6886 degrees west, in the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of the state of São Paulo, Brazil. The island's subtitle is a venomous sanctuary. This is not a metaphorical name. The island is forbidden territory, home to one of the highest concentrations of venomous snakes. The primary danger is a pit viper, the golden lancehead, Bothrops insularis. This snake is found nowhere else on Earth. Isolated when sea levels rose thousands of years ago, they adapted to migratory birds. To keep their prey from flying away, the golden lancehead evolved venom 3 to 5 times more potent than its mainland relatives. Its venom can cause kidney failure, necrosis of muscle tissue, brain hemorrhaging, intestinal bleeding. It acts incredibly fast, capable of killing a human in under an hour. Because of this danger, the Brazilian government forbids public access. The area is a protected ecological preserve, access only by waiver to the Brazilian Navy and a few vetted scientific researchers. Authorized teams must be accompanied by a doctor and carry multiple vials of anti-venom. The terrain is rugged and nearly impossible to evacuate. Snake density can reach 1 snake per square meter. If you land illegally, odds of survival are vanishingly small. A bite is a near certainty. The danger is permanent. It is part of the island's ecosystem. As long as the vipers thrive, the island remains one of the most lethal places on Earth. A single misstep can mean a swift, agonizing death. We are looking at the Dallol hydrothermal field, located within the Danakil Depression. The coordinates are roughly 14.2413 degrees north, 40.3018 degrees east in the Afar region of Ethiopia. This location has earned the subtitle, Nature's Cauldron. It is one of the lowest places on Earth, one of the driest places on Earth, and one of the hottest places on Earth. A geologically active area where the planet's internal fury bubbles to the surface. The Danakil Depression is a volatile landscape of vibrant, lurid colors, acidic yellows, toxic greens, rusted oranges. These colors are the result of hot, acidic water bubbling up from underground magma chambers, depositing salt and depositing sulfur. The area is dotted with hydrothermal pools that are not just hot, but are also highly acidic and saturated with toxic gases, chlorine, sulfur vapor. The ground itself can be a treacherous crust of salt and mineral deposits hiding superheated water just beneath the surface. A single wrong step can result in the crust breaking, plunging a person into a boiling, acidic pool. The average daily temperature year-round is over 94 degrees Fahrenheit, and it frequently soars much higher, creating an extreme risk of heat stroke and dehydration. The air itself can be poisonous, filled with noxious fumes emanating from the hydrothermal vents. Access to this remote region is incredibly difficult, requiring travel in a convoy of 4x4 vehicles with experienced local guides who understand the shifting and unstable terrain. There are no medical facilities, no paved roads, and no reliable infrastructure for hundreds of miles, making any emergency a life-threatening crisis. The dangers are not temporary. They are the direct result of its unique geology, sitting at the junction of 3 tectonic plates that are actively pulling apart. As long as this geological activity continues, lasting for millions of years, the Dallol area will remain a beautiful but deadly cauldron. North Sentinel Island, a fortress of isolation. Coordinates 11.5570 degrees north, 92.2419 degrees east. It is part of the Andaman Islands archipelago and under the jurisdiction of India. The next location is dangerous for a reason different from radiation or natural hazards. Here, the danger comes from a deliberate and fiercely protected human choice. This island is home to the Sentinelese people, one of the last uncontacted tribes. They have chosen for millennia to reject all contact and defend their isolation with resolute determination. The primary danger to any outsider is the immediate, hostile response. They have a long, documented history of defending their territory, firing arrows at boats and even at helicopters. Numerous attempts at contact, friendly, accidental, have been met with violence. This is not malice, but self-preservation. In response, India has made it illegal to travel within a 5 nautical mile radius. The Indian Navy enforces the exclusion zone. The danger, however, is a two-way street. Outsiders risk physical harm. The Sentinelese face an existential threat from disease, the flu, measles, the common cold. Having lived in isolation for tens of thousands of years, they have no immunity. A single virus harmless to an outsider could trigger an epidemic that wipes them out. Any attempt to visit is a risk to life and could cause cultural genocide. The danger is absolute and the restriction is permanent. Unlike a radioactive zone that may one day be cleaned, this is a human boundary that must be respected indefinitely. Their survival depends on continued isolation. The only safe and ethical action is to leave them alone. Treat these coordinates as the marker for a living human museum, one whose doors must remain forever closed. Section 6. Fukushima Exclusion Zone. A silent reminder. Centered around 37.4210 degrees north, 141.0328 degrees east, near Okuma and Futaba, Fukushima Prefecture, Japan. Returning to the theme of nuclear catastrophe, we now focus on a more recent event. Following a massive earthquake and a devastating tsunami, the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant suffered a triple meltdown, releasing significant amounts of radioactive material into the surrounding environment and creating a new, modern exclusion zone. The danger in this zone is, once again, invisible radiation. The meltdown released radioactive isotopes such as cesium-137, iodine-131, which contaminated vast tracts of land, forests, and towns. The Japanese government swiftly evacuated over 150,000 residents and established a multi-layered exclusion zone based on radiation levels. These areas are modern ghost towns, frozen in time at the moment of the disaster, where nature is slowly reclaiming homes, schools, and businesses under a veil of unseen contamination. An enormous and ongoing decontamination effort has been underway for over a decade, scraping away topsoil, cleaning buildings, and storing millions of bags of radioactive waste. As a result, some less contaminated areas have been reopened, and a small number of former residents have chosen to return. Entry into high radiation zones is limited to authorized workers involved in cleanup and decommissioning. These workers must wear full-body protective suits, respirators, and multiple dosimeters with legally limited exposure. For an unauthorized person, risks remain significant. Exposure to radioactive particles in soil and dust increases lifetime cancer risk. The plant's decommissioning will take at least 30 to 40 more years. Until then, large parts remain a silent, somber reminder. Section 7. The Bikini Atoll, a radioactive legacy. Our map now takes us to the middle of the Pacific. From 1946 to 1958, the atoll hosted 23 U.S. nuclear tests, including the infamous Castle Bravo, the most powerful nuclear device ever detonated by the U.S. The tests irrevocably changed the atoll, leaving an invisible, enduring poison. The danger is residual radiation from those blasts. Explosions vaporized islands and contaminated soil, lagoon, and groundwater with isotopes like cesium-137, strontium-90, plutonium. Native Bikinians were relocated before the tests. A 1960s resettlement attempt was abandoned when locally grown food was found contaminated, particularly coconuts and pandanus fruit. The food absorbed dangerous radiation from the soil, unsafe to eat. The land had betrayed its inhabitants. Today, ambient radiation on some islands has fallen enough for short-term visits. Scuba diving is permitted in the lagoon, but strict rules apply. Visitors are warned not to eat local plant life, bringing all food and bottled water from outside the atoll. Permanent habitation remains unsafe due to ingestion through the food chain, increasing lifetime cancer risk. External gamma has decreased, but soil contamination is far harder to fix. Cesium in the ground will take centuries to decay to safe levels. Scientists continue to study the atoll as a tragic laboratory for long-term fallout impacts. The beautiful tropical paradise still bears the Cold War's mark in the earth. Safe to visit only with caution, not yet safe to call home. Section 8. Conclusion. Heeding the warnings on the map. We have journeyed across the globe, not with footsteps, but with facts. We have visited places scarred by human technology, places guarded by evolution's deadliest creations, and places where the planet itself churns with lethal force. From the radioactive silence of Chernobyl and Fukushima to the venomous fortress of Snake Island, from the searing cauldron of the Danakil Depression to the self-imposed isolation of North Sentinel Island. Each location, marked by a precise set of coordinates, tells the same fundamental story. This is a place of profound risk. These are not destinations for the curious or the thrill seeker. The warnings for these zones are not abstract or negotiable. They are based on the clear, cold calculus of survival. They are born from scientific measurement, historical precedent, and a deep understanding of biology and physics. To ignore them is to invite a predictable and often tragic outcome. The radiation will damage your cells. The venom will stop your heart. The acid will burn your skin. The people will defend their home. These are not possibilities. They are certainties. Respecting these boundaries is a sign of wisdom, not of weakness. It is an acknowledgement that humanity, for all its ambition, remains subject to greater forces. These coordinates represent more than just physical locations. They are symbols. Chernobyl, Fukushima, Ilha de Queimada Grande, North Sentinel Island. They are sober lessons written upon the face of the earth, reminding us of the need for caution, humility, and a profound respect for the world we inhabit and the consequences of our actions within it. They teach us that some lines should not be crossed, and some mysteries are best left unsolved. So when you look at a map, remember that not every point is a place to go. Some are places to know so that you may actively avoid them. Some coordinates aren't destinations, they're warnings.